Hello. This is a short video introducing Max MSP to my Music Theory 4 class. So basically I'm rehashing what I did in a lecture this morning. So if we open up Max, I'm assuming you have it already loaded on your computer and it's ready to go. So we're going to go to File, New Patcher, and open a new patcher here. I'm also going to go to Window, Max Console, and open this up. The console tells us when we have errors. Also, if we, one of the first objects I'm going to show you is a print object, and this is where things will print out. So Max is a visual programming language, and it is used a great deal in experimental electronic music and graphics design, animation. We're going to start out with some very simple things. So when you open this, what you really need to be concerned with at the moment are these icons up top. You have an object, message, comment, toggle, buttons, various types of buttons, number boxes, sliders, or other graphical interface objects. We're concentrating today on the object, message, and maybe the buttons, but the numbers in particular. And I'll give you the simple keystrokes as we go along for how to bring these up. So the way you start in Max is that you create a new patcher, which we've done, and you add objects to it. To add a new object, hit N, or click on the object button. Okay, in here, let me blow this up and zoom in for you a bit. In here, we have this little object box now. An object is a little pre-compiled program, you could say, that, or method or function that is designed to do something. So I'm going to start by putting in a print object. Okay, and all a print object does is take whatever you put into it and prints it out over here on the console. So if I want to put in a message, this is the typical one you see in every programming language. Okay, now I have to go down here and lock the patcher so that now it can do something. When we're in edit mode, we have to have it unlocked so that we can add things. If it's locked, now this will work. And if I click on Hello World, it prints over here in the console, print Hello World. Okay, I can put multiple objects in here. If I want, I can put in another message that says, lock it. And a quicker way is on Mac, Control or Command E, Control E on the PC for locking and unlocking the patcher. So Command E, and it prints that over there, and you can print out whatever you want. This is a constant. For those of you with a computer programming background, you know what a constant is. It's something that you're not likely to change. This is also a string. A string is quite literally a string of characters. We can use numbers though with this print tool. If I hit I can get an integer box. There's two types of numbers in Max. Three really, but only two we need to be concerned with. There's integers, which is N, and floats, which is F. And this is a kind of a holdover from the old days, the early days of Max, where you would have a, computers were much slower. Math was typically done on a separate chip or portion of the chip called a math coprocessor. And it would, you had to specify the type of number you were using. So if I lock this, now I can scroll in this and I can print numbers over here in the console. If I want decimals, I can use a float box and go through decimals over here. Some people get in the habit nowadays, I've noticed, of using just floats for all their numbers. But if you don't need to do any kind of, if you don't need to work with decimals, it's best not to, simply because it will save you a few CPU cycles. Probably not much anymore, but if you get a big program going, floats can slow things down if you don't need them. Okay. Let's say, though, let's face it, what a computer is really good for, let me take those out, is doing your math homework for you. And I can do that with this print object and a couple message boxes. Let's say for here and 5 in this one. And I can use another object, again, N. I can create another object called plus, and that just does addition. I could create, another button which just takes these two again. Hold it, I have a mistake here. Okay, I should explain. I should explain something here too. On these objects, you have two inlets, and you'll notice they're colored. And you have, in this case, one outlet. Now, you may have more inlets and outlets, but typically you only have one. Your far left inlet is going to be what's called a hot inlet. So if I were to hook this up here now, and I was to just hit this, because 4 is the hot plugged into the hot inlet, only the number 4 is going to come out over here. Let me make this a little less confusing. There. So you see the 4 there. Until I hit 5, which goes into a cold inlet, which means it's just stored in here, this 4 does nothing. So now 5 is stored in there, and 4 goes through, and we have print. We have our 9. Now, in a moment, I'm going to show you something, a way to make sure that this is, this doesn't become a problem. But for right now, what I want to do is put in another box here. And the way I just did that was I used the Option key and clicked and dragged on, held down Option, click, drag, and it copies your object. On Mac, it's Option. On PC, it's Alt, I believe. So I can do subtraction. It's amazing, you know. You never have to think about math again. That's not really true. You should think about math. Okay, so now I have these all going into the same and coming from the same source. So what I'm going to do here to make this a little more clearer, I can name these print objects. Okay. Whoops, I should probably separate these more because the names are going to get somewhat big. Okay, so if I go in here, I can put add. I can put sub for subtract. And now they're labeled when we see the answers. And I'm also going to go up here and I'm going to put in a button. What a button does is it sends out a message called bang. And bang means to do it, to do something, whatever it is that you're hitting there. So it's going to tell it to send 4 and 5 out. Max reads right to left. And so it takes that 5, it's going to put it in here into the cold outlet first, and then 4, it's going to do it really quickly too. So we see that the sub, and this is how we can prove that it's going right to left, because it prints the sub first and then the add. So a couple other little tricks you can do. Multiplication. Let me unlock, go in here, I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to put in, let me copy these 2 more times, change the names of these. And plug our numbers in here. Okay. And this one's going to show us a little problem that we have in using only, we're telling it only use integers. So the first 3 are going to be fine, but notice the divide is -1. Well, they're all -1 because I haven't changed it. So this is all part of debugging. No, I put those in. I didn't change these objects. Asterisk is for multiply and slash for divide. Now, if we do this, it's going to say divide is 0. And we know that's not true. But the problem is, this can only, because we haven't set it, it can only send out an integer. So what I have to do here is I put in a 0 point. And this converts it now to a float. And we see the value now of that division. Okay, so that's just some basic functions that you can do in Max. There's a lot more, but I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible and as short as possible for right now. So this is part 1, and part 2, we will do something that will actually produce music of a sort. So part 2 is coming up soon. Thank you.